The night was cold. Wind rushed through the broken buildings and empty alleys of the city. Cars roared on the main roads, but in the dark corners life moved slower. A boy no older than 13 sat under a bridge. His name was Daniel. He had one small backpack, a half-empty bottle of water, and one old blanket. That blanket was the only thing that kept him alive during the freezing nights. Daniel was used to hunger. He was used to people walking past him like he was invisible. He had no family left, no home, no safe place, only the streets. That night he curled up in his blanket, shivering when he heard something strange. It wasn't the sound of rats or cars. It was humming, a low, painful sound like someone trying to breathe but failing. Daniel's eyes opened wide. He thought maybe it was a drunk man or someone hurt. Carefully he stood up and followed the noise. Down a narrow alley he saw it. At first he thought his eyes were playing tricks on him. A figure lay against the wall, body shaking. Its skin was pale silver, almost glowing. Its arms were long, its chest rising and falling fast. The head, it wasn't human. The eyes were too large, shining faintly in the dark. Daniel froze. He had heard stories of aliens, but those were just movies, right? Yet here, in front of him, something clearly not human was dying. The creature gasped, its voice weak. Words came out, but Daniel didn't understand. It coughed and curled tighter as if the cold air was killing it. Daniel felt fear crawl inside him. He could run. He could leave. But something inside whispered, "This being is like you, alone, freezing, dying." Slowly, Daniel stepped closer. The alien's body shook violently. Without thinking too long, Daniel pulled the only thing he owned, the blanket, from his shoulders. He bent down and wrapped it around the creature. The fabric was thin and old, but it trapped warmth. The alien shivered under it, then grew calmer. Its big eyes looked at Daniel. For a moment, the boy felt no fear, just connection. The alien's lips moved. The voice was soft now, almost a whisper. The words were strange, but Daniel thought he heard something like protector. Then its head leaned back, eyes closing. Daniel panicked. "Hey, stay awake," he whispered, shaking the creature gently. But the alien lay still, wrapped in the boy's blanket, breathing so softly Daniel wasn't sure if it was alive or dead. For hours, Daniel stayed there. He couldn't bring himself to leave. Eventually, exhaustion won. He leaned against the wall beside the strange being and fell asleep. When the morning sun rose, Daniel woke to find the blanket on the ground. Empty. The alien was gone. No tracks, no body. Just silence. Daniel rubbed his eyes. Maybe it had been a dream. But then he noticed something burned into the ground where the alien had lain. A strange pattern, like symbols carved into stone. They glowed faintly before fading. Daniel picked up his blanket. It felt warmer than before, as if it had absorbed something from the creature. He didn't understand, but deep inside he felt he had done something important. That night, when he tried to sleep again, he thought of those strange eyes, the whispering voice, the word that sounded like protector. He didn't know what it meant. He didn't know that soon. His act of kindness would bring the attention of an entire world far beyond Earth. And by the next day, the skies would no longer be empty. The morning was gray and cloudy. Daniel rubbed his eyes and sat up. The empty street was alive now, with people rushing to work, cars honking, and the smell of fresh bread drifting from a bakery he could never afford. He checked the corner where the alien had been. Nothing. No body, no sound. Just the faint marks in the ground that looked like symbols. He touched them with his fingers, but they faded away like dust. For a moment, he thought maybe he had only dreamed it, but then he noticed his blanket. It was still warmer than before, like it carried a little of the creature's energy inside it. Daniel frowned, pulling it close around his shoulders. All day, he couldn't stop thinking about what had happened. He searched alleys, rooftops, even trash bins, but the silver-skinned being was gone. Still, something deep inside him told him it wasn't over. That evening, as the city lights flickered on, Daniel heard whispers from people around him. "Did you see the sky last night?" one man asked. "Strange lights like fireballs, but controlled," another woman said. "I heard jets scrambled. Military won't talk about it. Something's happening." Daniel's heart jumped. He remembered the way the alien's eyes had looked at him, the way its lips had whispered that strange word. Protector. That night, Daniel slept lightly. Every sound made him wake. He dreamed of stars and fire streaking across the night sky. He dreamed of tall figures marching, their silver armor glowing, and he dreamed of the alien's voice repeating that same word over and over. The next morning, the city was restless. Sirens wailed far off. Helicopters thundered above. Daniel climbed onto a rooftop to get a better look. His breath caught in his throat. In the distance, the sky was burning. Not with fire, but with light. Hundreds of streaks cutting through the clouds, all heading toward the city. They weren't planes. They weren't meteors. They moved with perfect order, like soldiers marching through the sky. People on the streets pointed and shouted. Some screamed. Some prayed. Cars crashed as drivers stopped in shock. News vans rushed by. The world was changing right in front of their eyes. The streaks of light slowed as they reached the city. One by one, they descended, forming glowing shapes. When the light faded, Daniel saw them clearly. Warriors, tall, armored, with silver skin like the being he had helped. Their armor shone like polished metal, engraved with strange symbols. Each carried a weapon unlike anything Daniel had ever seen. Long staffs that pulsed with blue energy. There weren't 10, not 20, not 50. There were hundreds. 200 alien warriors stood in perfect lines in the heart of the city. The ground shook as they marched. Police cars blocked the roads, but the warriors ignored them. Soldiers arrived, aiming guns, but none fired. Fear rippled through everyone watching. At the front of the formation was one warrior taller than the rest. His armor was black and gold, his weapon glowing brighter. His face was scarred, his eyes cold but searching. The leader raised his staff and every other warrior stopped. The city was silent. No cars moved. No one dared breathe. The leader's voice was deep and strange, but somehow every human nearby understood. "We seek the boy." Murmurs filled the air. Reporters shouted questions. Police officers shouted orders. But the warriors didn't move. They stood like statues, waiting. Daniel's heart pounded. He pulled his blanket tighter. Somehow he knew. They were looking for him. He remembered the alien's final gaze, the whispered word, "Protector." He tried to tell himself it wasn't possible. He was nothing, just a street kid nobody cared about. But deep down, he already knew the truth. The warriors weren't here by accident. They were here for him. And the world would never be the same again. The city had never been so silent. 200 armored beings stood in perfect formation, their glowing weapons humming with quiet power. Around them, police cars blocked the streets, their lights flashing. Soldiers crouched behind barricades, fingers tight on triggers. Helicopters circled above, yet none dared attack. The alien leader, tall and scarred, lowered his staff. His voice rolled like thunder through the streets. Though his mouth spoke alien sounds, everyone heard the words in their own language. "We seek the boy." The humans around gasped. "What boy?" shouted a police captain through a megaphone. "State your purpose." The leader's glowing eyes swept the crowd but gave no answer. Instead, he struck his staff against the ground. The impact rattled windows and sent cracks through the pavement. The warriors behind him moved as one, lifting their weapons, pointing them at the sky. Energy pulsed, blue light flashing. It was a warning. Daniel, still on the rooftop, trembled. He felt as if the leader's eyes had pierced through the distance and seen him. His blanket felt heavy across his shoulders. He wanted to hide. He wanted to run, but his feet wouldn't move. The leader spoke again. "He carries the warmth of Commander Arias. He is known to us." The words rippled confusion through the crowd. Reporters shouted questions. Civilians pointed phones, streaming live to the world. The police captain barked orders into his radio. None of them understood who this boy was, or why alien warriors had come for him. Daniel whispered to himself, "Arias, is that the one I found? The one I gave my blanket to?" The leader raised his arm and 2 warriors broke formation. They moved with terrifying speed, leaping onto rooftops, scanning with strange devices that glowed when pointed toward Daniel. His heart stopped. The light of their scanners locked onto him. One warrior shouted in alien tongue. The leader's head turned, his glowing eyes fixed on Daniel's rooftop. Daniel's legs finally obeyed. He ran, leaping down broken fire escapes, dashing through alleys, clutching his blanket like a shield. He heard heavy footsteps behind him. Not human footsteps. The warriors were following. Crowds scattered as Daniel burst into the open street. People screamed. Cameras turned. Soldiers raised their weapons. The boy ran straight through the chaos and the warriors followed. "Hold your fire," the police captain shouted. They're not attacking him, they're chasing him. Daniel tripped and fell to the ground. His blanket slipped, half spreading across the asphalt. The leader of the warriors stepped forward. Around him, soldiers aimed rifles, fingers trembling on triggers. The alien leader ignored them all. He reached down and with surprising gentleness lifted the blanket. His scarred hand touched it and the fabric glowed faintly. He lifted his gaze to Daniel, who was still shaking on the ground. "Yes," the leader said. "The protector." The 200 warriors dropped to one knee, their glowing weapons lowered in perfect unison. The ground shook with the weight of their bow. Gasps erupted from the crowd. 1,000 phones captured the moment live. Soldiers froze, unsure whether to shoot or salute. Daniel's breath came fast. "Protector? No, I'm nobody. I'm just me." The leader shook his head slowly. "Commander Arius, our guide and master, fell on this world. His last breath carried the memory of your gift. You gave him warmth when he was alone. You gave him dignity as he passed. That act binds us to you. By the honor of our line, by the strength of our oath, we serve you now." Daniel's eyes widened. "You'd serve me?" The leader slammed his staff into the ground again, and the warriors echoed in one voice. "Protector!" The word thundered across the city, shaking windows, rattling hearts. News networks broadcast it live. Around the world, people watched the sight of alien soldiers kneeling to a boy in torn clothes. The police captain whispered, "Dear God." The soldiers didn't lower their guns. Commanders screamed through radios for answers. Who was this boy? Why did aliens kneel to him? Daniel could only stare, trembling. He didn't want this. He never asked for this. But deep inside, a spark of something grew. Fear, yes, but also something else. Responsibility. For the first time in his life, people were looking at him. Not past him, not through him, at him, and it terrified him more than anything. Daniel sat on the cold ground, frozen in shock, while the alien warriors knelt before him. Their weapons glowed faintly, humming like living things. The leader, scarred and tall, still held Daniel's old blanket in one hand. Around them, chaos boiled. Soldiers shouted orders. Radios crackled, reporters screamed questions, and cameras flashed. But the warriors ignored everyone except Daniel. The leader spoke again, his deep voice echoing, "Protector. The line of Arius belongs to you." Daniel shook his head quickly. No, I'm not anyone. I don't even have a home. I'm just—" The leader raised a hand, silencing him. "Commander Arius was our master, our shield, our heart. His last moments were of you. His memory showed your kindness. A boy who gave warmth when he himself had none. Such a gift is greater than weapons, greater than gold. It marks you as protector of the line." The warriors pounded their fists against their armor once, the sound like thunder rolling through the streets. Daniel's hands trembled. He wanted to run, but hundreds of glowing eyes stared at him. The world was staring at him too. He saw phones recording. He knew his face was already being broadcast everywhere. "Why me?" he whispered. The leader leaned close. His scarred face was strange, yet calm. "Because you did not turn away. When others would have feared, you shared what little you had. That is strength. That is leadership." Before Daniel could answer, soldiers moved forward. A man in a decorated uniform pushed through, his pistol drawn but pointed low. His chest badges marked him as a general. He barked in a hard voice, "Step away from the boy." The leader did not move. His eyes flicked to the human general, but his staff stayed planted in the ground. "He is under our guard." The general's jaw tightened. "This boy is a citizen of Earth. He belongs to us, not to you." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. The cameras zoomed in. Soldiers raised weapons again. The air grew tense like a storm ready to break. Daniel's heart pounded. He didn't want anyone to get hurt, especially not because of him. He stepped forward, clutching his blanket tightly. "Please stop. Don't fight." "I don't want—" The leader cut him off, bowing his head slightly. "Protector, we live and die at your word." The soldiers stiffened at the word. Protector. Their general turned toward Daniel with sharp eyes. "Son, do you know these things? Did they hurt you?" Daniel shook his head quickly. "No, I helped one of them. He was dying. I gave him my blanket." His voice cracked, small and scared. "That's all?" The general blinked, confused. "You, what?" The leader's voice boomed again. "He saved Commander Arius with his gift. And so we follow him. Until death takes us all." The warriors pounded their fists against armor again, echoing the vow. The general whispered harshly into his radio. Soldiers tightened their grip on weapons. But still, no one fired. Fear of the alien warriors was too strong. Reporters screamed questions now. Who is this boy? Why do the aliens kneel to him? What does protector mean? Daniel wanted to vanish. He wanted to melt into the ground and disappear. But deep inside, a spark of warmth grew. For the first time in his life, someone believed he mattered. Not just someone, 200 powerful beings. Yet he could also feel the eyes of the human soldiers, the generals, the reporters. Their stares were different, hard, suspicious, calculating. The general finally lowered his pistol but spoke coldly. Then this boy will come with us, for his own safety. The leader slammed his staff into the ground, the crack splitting the pavement. No, he comes with us. We swore our lives to him. No human order can break that oath. The standoff was set. Humans on one side, weapons trembling. Aliens on the other, silent but ready. In the center, Daniel stood, small, shaking, holding his old blanket. The entire world watched live. Daniel whispered, "What happens now?" The leader bowed deeply. "Now, protector, you choose." And Daniel realized the truth. His choice could spark peace or war. Daniel stood frozen between two worlds. On one side, rows of human soldiers aimed rifles, their eyes sharp with fear. On the other side, 200 alien warriors knelt, their glowing weapons resting on the ground, their loyalty fixed on him. The leader of the aliens spoke firmly. "The protector belongs with us. His safety is ours to guard." The general's voice was just as firm. "No. He is a citizen of Earth. His safety is our responsibility." The crowd of reporters shouted, microphones pushed forward, their voices shaking with excitement. Does this mean war? Is Earth under alien control? Why the boy? Daniel covered his ears. He didn't want this. He didn't want soldiers or warriors ready to kill because of him. He was just a boy with a blanket, but the moment had already escaped his control. Whispers of fear news spread across the world in minutes. Every screen lit up with the same headline: Alien Army kneels to Earth Boy. In government buildings across the planet, leaders argued. Some said the aliens were dangerous and must be destroyed. Others said they must be studied, controlled, or bargained with. A few whispered that maybe the boy could be used. His influence over the aliens could be a weapon. In hidden rooms, powerful people asked the same question: why him? And more importantly, what if he says no to us? The boy in the blanket Daniel sat in an abandoned subway tunnel that night, the aliens forming a protective circle around him. Their glowing armor lit the darkness like stars. The leader, still holding the boy's blanket, stood guard. Daniel's stomach growled. His head throbbed. He whispered, "I don't want this. I don't want to be protector." The leader knelt before him. "Protector, your wants are not the measure of your worth. You gave when you had nothing. That is a strength most cannot understand." Daniel hugged his knees. "But I'm not strong. I'm just me." The leader touched the glowing blanket. "Strength is not in power, but in choice. You chose kindness. That is why we follow. Human pressure." The next day, military trucks surrounded the area. Loudspeakers demanded surrender. "Boy, this is the United States Army. Step away from the aliens." "We will protect you." Daniel's heart twisted. "Protect me? From who? From them? But they're the only ones who've ever cared." The alien warriors stood firm, their weapons glowing brighter. The leader warned, "If they strike, we answer." The general shouted back, "If you fire, we unleash everything we have." The street shook with tension. Every soldier's finger trembled on their trigger. Every alien's weapon hummed with deadly light, and Daniel stood in the middle, terrified. The spark of conflict far away, in a tall government tower, men and women in suits argued. "The boy is a threat. If the aliens obey him, then whoever controls the boy controls the army." Another voice answered coldly, "Then we must remove the boy from the equation." Plans were made. Agents were sent. Cameras rolled. But none of them understood what Daniel truly was. Not yet. The protector's burden that night, Daniel dreamed of Arias, the dying alien he had helped. In the dream, Arias whispered, "You carry the blanket of peace, but peace is fragile. You must choose which world you belong to." Daniel woke sweating. Around him, 200 warriors stood silently, guarding him like statues. He looked at the blanket in his hands. Once it had only kept him warm. Now it carried the weight of a planet. He whispered to himself, "What if I fail? What if I can't protect anyone?" But no answer came, only silence. Rising storm. By the third day, the city was locked down. Tanks rolled in. Jets thundered above. Governments from around the world demanded answers. Some leaders sent ambassadors. Others sent threats. In the streets, protesters marched, some holding signs that said, "Welcome aliens," others screaming, "Earth for humans." The world was dividing, and Daniel was at the center. And in the shadows, another danger stirred. Beyond Earth, in the cold of space, rival forces watched. Not all aliens wanted peace. Not all believed in the Protector. A signal pulsed through the stars. Another army was coming. Daniel didn't know it yet. But the kindness of one night, the gift of one blanket, had set the entire universe in motion. And soon, he would face the greatest test of all. The city was tense, locked in fear and confusion. Alien warriors still guarded Daniel day and night. Soldiers watched from a distance, their guns never lowered. The world argued about him. But Daniel only felt small, lost and tired. Then the sky tore open. One night, as Daniel sat near a broken fire pit with his blanket around him, the air filled with a deep hum. The alien leader stiffened, his scarred face grim. Warriors lifted their weapons as blue lights flared above. Daniel looked up. Dozens of new ships cut through the clouds. Their shapes were sharp, darker, their lights red instead of blue. They moved like blades slicing through the sky. The leader's voice was heavy. "They have come." "Who?" Daniel asked, fear tightening in his chest. "Rivals," the leader answered. "The clan of Kor. They do not honor Arius, they do not honor peace. They will burn this world to prove their strength." The ground shook as the new ships landed outside the city. Their warriors marched in, taller, crueler, their armor black and red. They carried jagged weapons that pulsed like fire, and they were many. More than the 200 who followed Daniel. The clan of Kor formed their own lines. Their leader, a massive alien with spiked armor, stepped forward. His voice was a roar. "Earth is weak. Its people are weak. We claim this world." The scarred leader beside Daniel lifted his staff. "This world is under the protection of the line. Stand down." The rival laughed, the sound sharp and terrible. "Your commander is dead. Your oath is broken. You kneel to a child, a human street rat. That is no protector. That is a shame." The warriors behind him pounded their weapons, fire spilling sparks into the night. Daniel's heart hammered. He wanted to scream that he wasn't a protector, that he wasn't anything. But then the scarred leader bent down beside him, voice low. "They will not stop unless you command us." "Protector, this is your test." "My test?" Daniel whispered. His throat felt dry. "I can't fight. I don't know how." The leader placed the glowing blanket back in his hands. "You do not need to fight. You need only choose. If you stand with us, we will hold the line. But if you falter, all is lost." Daniel stared at the armies, the humans watching from behind tanks and barricades, the 200 who believed in him, and the black-armored enemy waiting to strike. He wanted to run. He wanted to hide. But then he remembered the first alien, the one who had whispered "Protector" with his last breath. He remembered how cold that being had been, and how the blanket had been all he could give. And he remembered something else. No one had ever depended on him before. Not once, until now. Daniel stood. His knees shook, but his voice, though small, carried in the silence. "You want to fight? Then fight me first." Gasps echoed through the human crowd. The rival leader laughed again. "You, a boy?" Daniel gripped his blanket tight. "Yes, I'm just a boy. But I cared when no one else did. And if that makes me protector, then I'll be protector." For a moment, silence hung heavy. Then the scarred leader struck his staff into the ground, bowing his head. "Protector!" he shouted. 200 warriors echoed the cry, their weapons blazing with blue light. The glow spread like fire across their armor, uniting them in a storm of energy. The rival leader snarled, "Then your boy will watch you die." He raised his jagged blade high. "Clan of Kor, strike!" The night exploded in chaos. Blue light clashed with red fire. The ground shook as warriors collided. Humans ran for cover. Tanks rolled forward, soldiers shouted orders. The sky lit with bolts of energy. Daniel stood frozen at first, his blanket glowing faintly in his arms. Then he shouted, his voice cracking but strong, "Hold the line! Don't let them through!" His words carried like thunder. The 200 warriors fought harder, their movements sharper, their weapons brighter. It was as if Daniel's command gave them new strength, The rival leader charged through the battle, his jagged blade raised for Daniel. The scarred leader blocked him, sparks flying as weapons clashed. "Run, Protector!" But Daniel didn't run. He lifted the blanket like a shield. It glowed brighter, pulsing with strange energy. When the rival leader's blade struck it, a shockwave blasted outward, knocking warriors from both sides to the ground. The rival leader roared in rage. "This is not possible." The scarred leader rose beside Daniel, staff blazing. "It is possible. Because he is Protector." The enemy forces faltered, their charge slowing. The clan of Kor hesitated, fear flashing in their burning eyes, and for the first time Daniel believed it too. Maybe he wasn't just a boy anymore. Maybe he was the Protector. The battle raged like a storm. Blue and red light filled the night. Buildings shook and the air burned with fire and smoke. Daniel stood at the center, clutching his blanket, its glow stronger now than ever. The alien leader, scarred and fierce, fought beside him. Every strike of his staff lit the ground. The rival leader of the clan of Kor pushed forward again and again, his jagged blade slashing, his voice full of hate. But the warriors of the line did not break. They held strong, shouting, "Protector," with every strike. Daniel's voice joined theirs, giving them courage. "Stand together," he cried. "Don't let them take this world." The words carried farther than he expected. They echoed not only through the alien warriors, but also through the human soldiers watching nearby. For the first time, humans lowered their guns, not in surrender but in awe. The turning point. The rival leader roared and charged one last time. His blade cut through the air toward Daniel. The boy lifted the blanket, trembling but refusing to run. The blade struck the glowing fabric and shattered. A wave of pure light burst outward. It knocked the rival leader to his knees. His army staggered, their weapons dimming. The glow of Daniel's blanket spread across the battlefield, filling the night with warmth. The clan of Kor froze, their anger broken by fear. Their leader stared at the boy, disbelief twisting his scarred face. "Impossible," he whispered. "A human child, holding the power of Arius." The scarred leader of the line raised his staff. "Not impossible. Chosen." The warriors of the clan faltered, then slowly backed away. Their leader snarled but did not strike again. With a sharp motion, he ordered retreat. One by one, their ships rose into the sky, red light fading into the stars. Silence fell. Smoke drifted through the streets. The ground was cracked, but earth still stood. Protector of both worlds, Daniel dropped to his knees, exhausted. The blanket no longer glowed, but it still felt warm, like it carried a heartbeat. The scarred leader knelt before him, bowing his head. "Protector, you have faced your trial. You have proven yourself before friend and foe. We are yours, until the end of our lives." The 200 warriors echoed together, "Protector." But it wasn't just the aliens. The human general stepped forward, his soldiers parting for him. He looked at Daniel differently now, not just as a boy, but as someone who had stopped a war. "You saved lives tonight," the general said. His voice was heavy but respectful. "Yours, theirs, and ours. Maybe you really are what they say you are." Daniel looked up at him. "I don't want to be anyone's weapon. I don't want people to fight because of me." The general studied him, then gave a small nod. "Then maybe you'll be the one who teaches us something we've forgotten." A new oath. The next day shook the world. News of the battle spread across every screen. People argued, feared, and wondered. Was the boy dangerous? Was he a savior? Or both? But Daniel stayed with the aliens. Not because he wanted power, but because they had no one else. They had lost their commander. Now all they had was the boy who gave a dying alien a blanket. The leader of the warriors stood before him one evening. "Protector, we will leave if you command it. But if you allow us, we will remain on this world. We will watch over you, and we will watch over your people." Daniel thought of the nights he had slept alone in the cold. He thought of the times no one had cared if he lived or died. He thought of the blanket, just a scrap of cloth, but the only thing he had to give. He nodded. "Stay. Not for me. For everyone. Protect Earth." The warriors struck their weapons to the ground as one. Until the stars burn out, we serve. Legacy of the blanket. Years later, people would tell the story differently. Some would say it was destiny. Some would say it was chance. But Daniel always remembered the truth. It began with one small act of kindness. A boy with nothing gave his only blanket to a stranger who was dying. And that stranger, Commander Arias, carried the memory back to his people. That one choice had changed everything. Daniel was still a boy without a home. But now he was never alone. Wherever he went, 200 alien warriors stood in the shadows, watching, protecting. Not because he was strong, not because he was powerful, but because he had cared when no one else did. And in the cold nights when he wrapped himself in the old blanket, Daniel felt its warmth and whispered, "Thank you." The Protector's story had only just begun.